Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tom Dolan, and I am the CEO for the Town of Babylon IDA. I'm here with Erica Chase, Director for the Small Business Development Center from Farmingdale, and we want to welcome you all to our first presentation to the Babylon Business Bootcamp. Again, the bootcamp is designed to be an informative series to help local businesses navigate all of the new challenges and regulations during the pandemic. This includes educational webinars, workshops, and mentoring programs. We're so excited to partner with Erica and the Small Business Development Center. And I'm going to turn it over to Erica so she can introduce today's topic. Good afternoon, Erica. How are you?
Hi, Tom. Thank you so much for having me today. Today, we're going to be talking about the business plan and what needs to change during COVID. So I'm going to share my screen with everyone. Oops. And we'll get right into the presentation. So each business typically will have a business plan, whether it's in the owner's head, and oftentimes that's the case. An entrepreneur sometimes doesn't do a written business plan, and that's fine as long as it's working for that business. And oftentimes business owners will do a formal business plan and have it in writing. So during these COVID times, the business plan is very different. So you need to think about certain aspects of the business plan and what needs to change during COVID. So just as an introduction about the Small Business Development Center, we are a resource partner of this SBA. We have been helping small businesses during this crisis with the EIDL loans, the PPP loans, and the New York Forward Loan Program, which is all resources, financial resources to help the small businesses, access some capital and survive through these times. The Small Business Development Center is at the campus of Farmingdale State College. We typically work with any small business or individual who's thinking about starting a small business. Many times we help businesses work through that business plan. We have been working on disaster since March of this year, obviously, when COVID hit. So far, since March, we have assisted 1,722 small business owners. 149 of those clients of ours have reported that they received $30.4 million in access to that capital that I was talking about through those different loan programs. If you haven't received anything or you're still needing assistance with those, of course, we're here to help you. You can connect with the Small Business Development Center by emailing us, and I'll give this throughout the program, sbdc@farmingdale.edu, and you'll be connected to a business advisor. So typically, your business plan is going to have all of these all of these aspects to it. An executive summary, your table of contents, it's going to be a document, right? Statement of purpose, your business description, products and services, your market analysis, which goes through your customers, your competition, your marketing strategy. It will talk about the management of the business, your operations of the business, and in detail, your financial planning of that. And it will also include other documents that maybe if you're looking for lending, the loan officer will require some other things that are included in your business plan. For today's purpose, and during COVID, to rethink your business plan to make sure that you're successful in surviving and thriving in these new times of ours, really you want to focus on 4 of those aspects: your products and your services, the market analysis, operations, and your financial plan. So we're going to talk about each one of those. So your products and your services, everything has changed in our world, hasn't it? COVID has changed almost everything in the way we do things, in the way we purchase, and the way you connect with your clients and your customers. So you need to ask yourself, what has changed in your market to have you rethink your products and your services? Number one, is there still a need? And you may think that there's still a need, but are people still buying? You really need to keep a close eye on your sales and what products and services are people still buying from you, and how are they buying them? Is your product or your service recession proof? We may get through this COVID, hopefully in the nearer future. However, the recession is going to linger, and people will be without income as businesses start to employ people. But there's going to be a lull. That's what all of the experts are saying. And we really need businesses to start thinking about their products and services in such a recession. So we want you to start thinking about that, and where is your market for your business. During this time, what's working and what's not? You really want to focus on what's working. Obviously, that sounds pretty elementary, doesn't it? But take a look and think about what is selling, focus in on that, and put the other products or your services on the back burner for now. You may have a retail shop, and you may have included a few more products that you're selling just as a test, and those are doing really well. So do more of those types of services and selling those products. So that's a quick overview of your products and your services. You know what's working and what's not. So you need to be honest with yourself and keep moving through that process with your business model. The market analysis is really important because everything has changed, right? The customers have changed. Perhaps there's a dip in the number of customers you're reaching. Perhaps you're seeing more customers because they found you to be a business that's serving them well. So you need to make sure that customer base is going to stay stable for you. They are your key to success right now. Typically, we say cash is key, and cash is key and king for your business, right? I really think during this time, your customers are key to your success. So we really need to treat your customer as just that, and make sure that you're connecting with them and servicing the way that they need to be served, and to provide them the product and the services that they need and want. So you really need to hear them, listen to them and hear them, and make your business model around that customer. Competition is another part of your market analysis that you typically do when you're writing a business plan. When you're going into business, you look at, excuse me, the competition, who they are, what they're doing, how they're doing it different than you are or you want to do it. During this time, it's another look at that landscape. But what are they doing now? What's different? How are they connecting with the community, that you can look at and say, that looks like it's working, I'm going to do that. If there's something that they're doing that they're not doing, you're going to want to use that as fuel to build on what you're doing right or what you want to do. So competition is really important. The other thing is that unfortunately, a lot of businesses will go out of business and start leaving the marketplace. The customers that they had will want to go somewhere. So you need to be keenly aware of what's happening day to day, week by week, month by month, and what's the forecast, what looks like it's happening, so you can really focus in on that and use that to build your own business and your own customer base within that changing environment. So market strategy will look different, right? So when this all hit, everything was shut down. And for those businesses that never provided services or products online, now they had an opportunity to do that. So you really need, again, to look at your strategy of what it was and what you're doing now and what it could be. So if you haven't been providing your products or your services online, this is the time to get serious about doing that. You'll see around the country, things are starting to open up wide and retract real quick. You saw that with Chapel Hill just yesterday. I had a friend of mine who dropped her son off a couple of days ago, all ready to start online, classes. He's down there, and today they have retracted, and all of the students will be in this online environment. So overnight it can change, and you want to be ready so your business model can change if we go backward. And I pray that we don't, but it's a possibility that we do. And we want you as your business to really be thinking about the what ifs and be prepared. So we talked about the customer a little bit. There's two customers within the market analysis that the business plan looks at: the individual customer and the business customer. So you know who they are, you know who buys your products and services. So rather than who they are, think about how do they want to be served. It's different now with COVID. You need to meet them where they want to be met. There's a lot of talk and conversations around what's the right way, right? Or people will say the government's being a little bit overzealous in what they're making us do. And there's these feelings of, well, I don't agree with that. Well, the fact of the matter as a business owner, you don't need to agree with it. You need to be compliant, and you need to be thinking about the customer and the masses of the customers. There's always going to be a handful of those customers, and we see it in the news and online. They go in and they disrupt the store in any way that they can. So you want to be thinking about that customer, how they want to be met and sold your products and your services. And the best way to do that is to talk to your customer base. What is it that they need from you for them to feel safe? We all have safety plans in every business, and we're going to talk more about that safety plan and how to develop it and why it's so important next week at the same time. But for now, you really want to be thinking about that individual customer, what they need, how they need it, and when and how you will deliver that. So we also saw that with restaurants. They went quickly onto delivery or pickup, curbside way of selling their food, right? So once they opened, were they still continuing to do that? There are still customers who don't want to dine in. They still want to pick up their food. They want to be catered in that way, get in and go home and eat that meal. And as a restaurant or a food service business, you really want to make sure that you're not turning anyone away, because the customer base is smaller now. There's less discretionary income for a household. So you really want to make sure that you're targeting how they want to be met. Business customer, if you're doing business with business to business, you need to think about how that business is surviving through COVID, and maybe their needs have changed from you and for your products or your services that you sell to them. So what's changed and how you can support that business going forward. Some of the things that you may be thinking of, or what you should be thinking of, is how are your payment schedules? Again, cash is hard for businesses. If they've been a good, solid business client of yours, certainly you want to have those conversations about your terms. But flexibility is key. But on the other hand, you want to shore up your revenues and your accounts receivables. So you don't want to go too far out where you're putting yourself into jeopardy. But you don't also want to lose that business customer long term. So have those conversations with your business customer and figure out a happy medium that they continue to do business with you, but you're not putting yourself in too much of a risk. We don't want you to do that in these times of uncertainty. So during the business plan process, one of the things that's really helpful in deciding or to figuring out where your market space is doing a SWOT analysis. And that's doing a grid on a piece of paper, looking at your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. This is a good time to revisit your SWOT analysis and to go through that process. It will look different than when you first started. Certainly there are opportunities, perhaps like I had talked about before, that businesses are going out into your area. So there's more opportunity for new clients. But there's certainly threats, the government shutdown, this virus in itself, your staffing is a threat if you can't bring them all back. So you're working on a lean staffing scenario. And what if there's an illness within that, staffing system that you have in place? So you want to work through that SWOT analysis, re-look at your strengths. Maybe there's something that you're strong in within the marketplace that you're not doing currently. And maybe at that point, when you have it in writing and you look at it and say, there's an opportunity for me to shift a little bit and to gain some more market share. Lessons learned through this process. You'll have learned lessons from your original business plan when COVID hit and what's happening now. Be cognizant of those lessons learned and implement ways that you can strengthen your business because of it. Oftentimes, you're so busy on the day-to-day working on your business, just trying to survive. You have all of this information. It's just a matter of putting some time and thought process into it, then to utilize that data and to grow your business in an appropriate way and to really, kind of come through this in a strong manner. Advertising in your market analysis, really looking at how others are advertising, how you're advertising, what is the cost, the return on investment of that advertising. And really don't go blindly into advertising. Make sure that how you're using your advertising dollars is working for you. And we're going to work through some of the budgeting in just a little bit, but it's really important to make sure that every dollar you're spending there's a return on that investment during these times. So how will you reach your customers and your sales goals? That's really marketing 101, right? So the key question is, why will customers buy from you and not your competition? Whether it's price, right now, ease of purchase. If one store and compared to you, you have the same products and the services, and that the other client is a lot easier to purchase from. They can do online transactions, they deliver, they ship out to you, to the customer. And maybe you're just doing, come in, give me cash, give me credit card. And you have to look at that. I will say that customers will go to the easiest way to purchase something right now because of their fears, or things are different in their households. They're all working from home, perhaps. So they want to be able to access that product in an easy way. Who's communicating to the customer? Before we talked about your customer is key. Communication with them is so important. Prior to COVID, I hope people were, during COVID, I'm sorry, when things were shut down, I'm hoping you were communicating with your customers through email, through text, through a phone call. It's really important to have that connection with customers. I know, barbershops and hairdressing, and dog grooming, I use all three, right, in my household. And I was communicated to by that shop when they're going to be opening, how it's going to look when I do go. And that was really important for me. So I would be eased of my fears on what it will look like to continue with that service. So again, communication is really key. And if you don't have a communication plan in place, start thinking about how you can reach your customers. Are you talking with them through Facebook? Are you connecting with them on a personal level, not just on a sales level? Create that real customer care communication plan with them. So customer care, how are you taking care of your customer? I know that certain shops I go into immediately, I know how high on their radar about safety and cleanliness is. You go in, they have wipes, or they're wiping down the cart before you go in. They're making sure that their customers have masks. If someone doesn't, as a business owner, I think it's important to have a supply to give to someone and say, this is, we're following the rules and we are here to keep you safe and to keep all of our staff safe. So customer care is really important. You'll want to go back into that establishment if you had a good feeling as a customer, right? There was a small deli in town here in Copiague that early on I went in and the owner and her staff weren't wearing masks. I turned around and I left. That's my personal feeling. Somebody else was at the counter with no mask on. He did not feel the same way as I did, but she lost me as a customer. And if that's important to you as a business owner, you need to understand why I, as the consumer, left and won't return. So, you know, and everyone needs to make their own choices. And if that is a choice, then it's a cognizant choice that you're making to, again, take care of your customers through the rules and regulations that we're supposed to be following, right? So flexibility is really important also with your customers. You know, there was, I saw it on Facebook the other night because I have been saying, you know, we talk about the mask wearers and the non-mask wearers, and what do you do as a business owner to deal with that? And I had suggested maybe you put out there that, you know, I respect you for not wanting to wear a mask, but 9 to 5, if those are your hours, 9 to 5, we wear masks. You know, and perhaps I had suggested that they want to open an hour early to allow that non-mask wearing customer base of yours to come in. And I actually saw it on Facebook and there was a big debate going on. Oh, I don't think so. And what do you think? And I was like, oh, I did say that I thought maybe you could be flexible to say, I don't want to lose your business. I understand that you don't want to wear one. I still want to sell my goods to you. So let's do it before or after hours. So again, it's a thought process that you want to go through. Not one answer is right for everybody, but you do need to think about working through those things so you have a good plan and good answers to those people who come in without masks on, so it doesn't elevate to a level where it's uncomfortable for your staff or yourself. And I think it's really important to be compliant. Not only is it by law, but I think for the majority of people, they want compliance during this time. We want to be safe, and I find that, you know, again, I see on social media and on the news people not being compliant, or you're having pushback from customers. But I, for the most part, when I go out, I see people being compliant and being respectful of that compliancy that they have to follow. So I think it's important for businesses to be compliant. So you just want to make sure you know what you need to do to follow, continue to be compliant, and to update your processes going forward, and not kind of slack off because people are watching, customers are watching, and making sure that they still continue to feel safe. So part of that whole marketing, marketing strategy is how will you promote your product and your service? And I have here, yes, and often. Obviously, you have a product or your service, you're promoting it, you need to promote it, and you need to do that often. You need to talk about it, how they're getting it, why it's good for them. If you're giving a discount, we want to hear about it. How to connect with your business. It's not one and done. It's not like, oh, send out information and then say to yourself, oh, okay, I did that. You have to continually to offer information about your business and how customers can connect with you. I know early on there was a car wash, and I remember 5 weeks into it or something, I said, I'd love to get a car wash, but I don't even know if they're open. And I was so busy with work, I wasn't keeping track of my own needs as a consumer. But 3 weeks later, I heard the car wash in town was open. I said, why didn't I see that on Facebook? I mean, this is my town car wash. Again, you need to be communicating, getting that word out, using social media, getting people to write reviews and to follow you and to share things that your business is doing. It's really important for them to understand that you're there. Taking track of clients. We talked about this a little bit prior about communicating to your customer base, your clients. If you didn't keep a database, and I know a lot of retail shops perhaps didn't, right? But now is the time to make sure you have one, email address and phone numbers, so you can contact them. You can text them that you're having a sale, that you're having a customer appreciation day, you're not open today because you're deep cleaning. Something you need to continually to communicate. If your hours are going to change, you need to communicate that. You don't want to be surprising customers. You need to keep your database up to date. If you don't have one, really start one. It's a really powerful tool to communicate with your customers down the road. So the other thing that's changed, obviously, are your operations. Typically, when you're writing a business plan, you're going to talk about if it's a brand new business, where it's going to be, what location, what's your facility needs, your space requirements, what's your equipment needs, all sorts of things, right? This is where you describe your business, how it works. So you know how it worked prior to COVID. Things are different now, isn't it? And things are changing since the close down. Perhaps you stayed status quo, but now you went online to sell your products or your services. So things have changed, and then maybe you need to start looking at your operations going forward. We're working with a lot of business owners to say, do they need such a large facility? Are they going to be bringing all of their staff back? Things will be different. There was a Newsday article just last week, or late last week, about things are not going to be the same as they were. They're different, and they're probably going to stay different, and that will become our new normal. So you need to be thinking about, do I need all of this staff? And that's a really hard process to go through as an entrepreneur and as a business owner. But it's something that's really important, because this is where there's a lot of high cost pieces of your operation, of your business. So your labor requirements, how many people do you need? Hours of operation. You may have been a hair salon that was open Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But now, because of the amount of people that you could have in your shop, you may want to expand those days of operation, hours of operation, so you can serve the same number of clients, but through a different number of days that you're working with those customers. So you need to think about that in terms of your own business, what you're selling, and what the operations are. So you're in compliance with New York State rules and regulations, and then how to create that customer base and those sales to meet pre-COVID, right? If applicable, you want to think about your purchasing policy, quality control program. That's real different now with the safety measures that are in place, the cleaning protocol that are in place. Your inventory, you may be scaling back on the inventory that you hold onto because cash is tight for you. But you really want to make sure that you'll be able to get that inventory when somebody buys it. So you're going to be working with your vendors to make sure that they can fill that inventory quickly. If not, maybe that's not something you want to cut back on or change too much, because that's also really important to meet the need of the customer. If they have it, if they want to purchase it, they're going to want it. So you're going to want to make sure that it's there for you. Think about the subcontractors that you work with, production costs. Think about the production costs. It's really important to reevaluate that. Things are different. Again, and things may be costing you more to produce what you used to produce. So we want to look at that and then evaluate where you can shave off some expenses so your prices don't need to go up to meet that production cost. Your New York safety plan is required. Again, we're going to talk about that next week in more detail, but that's something that's part of your operations now. The last thing with operations, really important, go through some of the what ifs and work through it. The thought of, okay, maybe you're working with less staff. What if someone gets sick? How does that look? Do you need to quarantine if they were in a position to have put your other staff at risk? Are you going to have to quarantine everybody for a period of time? What does that look like? And so it's really important to work through some of those what ifs that could happen. So you're prepared and you have a backup plan. So you want to have plan A, plan B, plan C. I would say go out to plan D to make sure that you're working as best you can to continue to survive and to thrive. Lastly, your financial plan. Everyone knows when you did a financial plan at the beginning of 2020, it went out the window of probably about March 10th to March 20th. Totally different plan, right? So typically a solid business will work for a business plan for their financial plan for their business, thinking about what kind of profits they can turn into their owner salary and be off and running, right? Well, things have blown up for all of you. And I think it's important to have a financial plan for the business and a financial plan for your home. Because if you're in a situation where you have another person working outside of the home and that person is no longer working, perhaps they're furloughed at this point, now there's more there's more pressure for the business to finance the home, right? So you really need to look at both, plan for that business and plan for that home. And then we want to know how much money do you need to survive, and then how much money you need to continue to thrive or to start to thrive, right? So it's really important when you're first doing a business plan for your business, you think about how much money is it going to take to start, to cover your monthly costs, your working capital needs. But now I think it's a little bit different. You need to redetermine your monthly operating costs to determine your working capital needs. I think it's really important during a downturn in the economy and with so much uncertainty that we're going through is to really be working on a very lean budget. Put yourself on austerity, both on your business and on your home. You need to cut where you can, and you can always add those extras going down, but put it on paper, what is needed and what is wanted. And those things are really, really important for you guys to kind of backtrack, be real tight with your spending when it isn't a direct return on an investment for sales. And, people will say, well, I need to spend money to be successful in my business. I'm not saying don't spend money to be successful, but to really look hard at your budget and make sure that every dollar you spend, there's a potential less risk of a return on that investment. That's what I'm meaning by looking at that business budget and your home budget and cutting where you can. Last thing on that is staffing. And I said this before, this is a really difficult conversation and thought process for business owners. Your staff has created your business to where it was right before COVID hit. And you know that, and you feel that, and you feel responsible, and you're proud. But these times are really, really tough, and you need to make sure you're thinking about the business long-term so you can continue long-term and you can add those staff back. But if you're bleeding cash and you don't need staff, those are tough decisions that you have to make about letting people go for now, and bringing them back as you grow. So if there's a place where they can be within your business model to help you sell and to be productive and to help you be profitable, then by all means, that's, to keep them and to continue in that vein. But again, those are really tough choices, and you're not alone when you need to work through these conversations in your head. You can always touch base with other resources that are out there to help you. Certainly, the Small Business Development Center is here to help you with that. We work one-on-one with you and your specific business and your specific budget and your specific products and your services. So we can work through all of these kinds of thought-provoking processes to make you survive and thrive in these times. So again, if you want to be connected to an SBDC advisor, please email us where we can be reached at SBDC, Small Business Development Center, SBDC at farmingdale.edu. You'll be connected to my assistant at the office, and she will connect you with one of the business advisors. We have 13 people on staff right now, all working remotely. We will connect with you via email, phone. We can do kind of the Zoom type of communications with you. We can work on your specific plan that you need to work through to continue your business. Everything is free from our business center, as well as confidential. And that's really important because a lot of times during disasters, businesses are cutting corners or trying to make things work. And we get that. We're not here to be judge and jury. We're here to get you the best plan in place so you can continue to be a part of the business community, which is so vital for all of our success. So I wish all of you luck. We're going to take some questions. Now, I think if Tom, if we have some questions, we'll go from there. And if not, I know that.
I got to tell you, that was a great presentation, and I was writing as you were going through certain things. There are things that we look at here at the agency. So there were some great ideas. As part of the Business Development Center, in previous conversations, there are additional resources that are available through the center. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, say that last part again. Other services?
I'm saying there are additional resources available that you have access to help these businesses out also.
Yeah, so like I said, we've been helping them with the EIDL loans and the PPP and the resources that are available for disaster. But one of the things that we did prior to COVID, and which is really important for businesses to think about now, is say there's a business product or a service that you can provide to government agencies. And maybe you didn't do that because you were fine with the regular consumer base, right? But maybe now you want to look at serving the government entities. So we have a business advisor that can help a small business become certified if they're woman-owned or a minority-owned or a veteran-owned business. And certification really helps within that procurement world. And then we can help that business get connected to different agencies that are buying what they're selling. So that's a really important thing as you're working through that business plan of who your customer is. And maybe there's a customer that you haven't tapped, but you want to. And government is a great customer. They will tell you, wait. And then they'll say, we need it yesterday. But if you can do that, be flexible and be willing to do that, if they are a great customer because they do pay.
A lot of the things you had talked about today too, they seem what seems to be common sense, and I know in looking at a business plan, the analogy is if you were going to build a home, you wouldn't go out and buy all the materials. You'd put a blueprint together first. So this is kind of like a blueprint for business. And this was a great walkthrough that you did today. Definitely.
Well, thank you. And it is, it's a lot of common sense, but I think as business owners, not that they're not using common sense, they're so busy in the day-to-day that if they were to just step back just one moment and think about this, even if they take one evening and think about some of those aspects of their business plan, apply some common sense, think through it when they started their business, put those aspects back into their daily routine, they will see a return on that investment of time to kind of rethink that business plan.
You also talked about adding services, looking at the services you're providing and because of the new situation, adding. And one of the things that came to mind was like a McDonald's, right? They went from serving hamburgers to adding breakfast. And when you think of restaurants that, yes, right now they have the ability to be outdoors and things like that to expand, the weather is going to change somewhere down the road, and they should maybe be thinking about that down the road.
Yeah, I was just talking to a restaurant in town, in Amityville, and he was telling me his, business is way down. Obviously, he can't do all that he can, and we were chatting through some of those things. And I said, well, keep your eye on, the holidays that are coming up, and maybe businesses aren't going to be doing holiday parties that the way they did. But perhaps, a restaurant or a catering venue wanted to start saying, your holiday party may be disrupted this year. Perhaps you want to do a staff appreciation picnic and get that out of the way maybe in September or in October. But put together a plan to plant that seed in a business to say, you know what, I may not be able to see my staff in December. You know what, I want to do something special for them where I can do it outside in a park or get together and have it catered. So, you have to think of outside of the box, because I think we're going to be outside of the box for some time.
That's great. Again, I would encourage everyone, if you're listening, this will be a video that you can tune in if you didn't have an opportunity today. But these lunch and learns will continue. The business boot camp continues again next Tuesday at 12 o'clock. And I think we said that next week is New York Safety Plan. We're going to be.
Yep. So we'll go through that. I know, and that's something, again, like a business plan, people don't take time. Technically, they're supposed to have it in writing and in their person. Many of business owners that we've spoken with haven't done it yet. So it's just going to be a conversation about how to put one together quickly, without a lot of time and effort, because we want you to spend your time making money, but to hit the points that you need to have your place, to have your plan in place and to be compliant with New York State.
Okay. Well, again, Babylon Business Boot Camp, what a way to kick it off. Eric, I want to thank you so much. This was a great presentation. And again, and I encourage everyone to tune in later, also to reach out to the Small Business Development Center, as they do have the resources and they can help you through this. You're not alone. And I think that's important. There are a lot of business owners that may think they're alone, but they're not. We're here to help. Again, babylonisback.com. If you want to stay connected to us, that's where you would go. I'm going to ask Joe also if he could just put up the schedule right now. Joe, if you could just put up the schedule that we're going to be following. So yesterday, you're going to be able to see we had an interview again with Rudy Rudiger from the movie Rudy. We kicked it off today with business planning. Next Tuesday, it's the New York State Safety Plan. September 1st will be restoring customer confidence. And again, some of this will be reviewing. It's part of what you went over today, but it would be like a little backfilling on some of these topics. For some of the larger companies, human resources, regulations, and personal health. We're going to get somebody in there. It's important. Again, as a business owner, you're working day to day and you're very involved. It is important to get out. Your health is important because at the end of the day, hopefully that's why you're working, not only for your purpose of your business and the people that you serve, but it is for a reward for yourself also at the end of the day. So again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. Erica, I want to thank you again. If you have someone, a business, a friend, please let them know. babylonisback.com. You can tune in, and the Babylon Boot Camp will be every Tuesday lunch and learn at 12 o'clock. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.